7.3 liters, 430 horsepower. A V8 they nicknamed Godzilla, and someone just dropped it into the chassis of an overland rig. Could this be the most extreme overlander ever conceived? Most overlanders are about going slow and steady. Sip fuel, crawl the trail, sleep under the stars. This build throws that idea out the window. Today we're looking at a Ford chassis with Ford's monster Godzilla V8 swapped right into the heart of it, built to carry you and everything you own deep into the backcountry, with enough muscle to drag the whole rig out of anything. We're going to dig into the why and the how of this insane machine. Why anyone would put this much engine under an overlander, what it takes to make a swap like this actually work, and whether the end result is genius or completely unhinged. Honestly, it might be both. Let's get into it. Before we tour the finished beast, you have to understand just how big a job a build like this really is. Dropping a Godzilla V8 into a chassis it was never designed for is not a weekend project. It's a fabrication nightmare, and every single system has to be rethought. Start with the engine itself. The Godzilla is a physically huge motor. Getting it to sit in the engine bay means custom motor mounts, clearance for the headers, and rerouting everything around it. Radiator, intake, wiring, all of it has to be moved or remade to fit a block this size. Then there's the drivetrain. All that torque is useless if it twists your driveline apart. So the build needs a transmission that can survive behind a Godzilla, a transfer case strong enough to split that power front and rear, and drive shafts built to take the abuse. One weak link, and the most powerful overlander on the trail becomes the heaviest paperweight in the backcountry. Next, the foundation underneath. A stock chassis and stock axles were never meant to carry an engine this heavy, plus a full overland load of water, fuel, gear, and a place to sleep. That means heavy-duty axles, a reinforced frame, and a suspension tuned to handle the weight without bottoming out on the trail. And finally, the hardest part of all, reliability. It's one thing to build something powerful in a garage. It's another to make it start every morning 100 miles from pavement, run cool while crawling in the heat, and never strand you. An overlander you can't trust isn't an overlander. It's a gamble. So every choice in this build has to balance raw power against the one thing that matters most out there: getting home. Here's how they pulled it off. Let's walk through how this monster came together, stage by stage. It starts with the heart of the build, the Godzilla V8 itself. To make a 7.3-liter engine live in this chassis, the team fabricated custom motor mounts and reworked the entire engine bay for clearance. Custom headers route the exhaust around the frame, and the cooling system was upgraded to handle long, slow days in the dirt where there's no highway airflow to keep temperatures down. Behind the engine, the drivetrain got the heavy-duty treatment. A built transmission and a stout transfer case put all that torque to the ground, feeding into upgraded drive shafts designed to survive the twist of low-range crawling. This is the part most people never see, but it's the difference between a truck that works and a very expensive lesson. Under the frame, the suspension and axles were rebuilt from scratch. Heavy-duty axles carry the extra weight of the engine and the gear. A long-travel suspension soaks up rough terrain while keeping the rig planted under a full load. And oversized off-road tires give it the clearance and grip to put 400-plus horsepower to use without just digging holes. Then comes the part that makes it an overlander instead of just a hot rod. The exterior was built out with a roof rack and a rooftop tent so your bed comes with you. Long-range fuel and water capacity, because a thirsty V8 in the backcountry needs range. Recovery gear and a winch mounted up front for self-recovery. And lighting to turn night trails into day. Inside, the cabin was set up for living, not just driving. Storage for tools and supplies, a power system to run a fridge and electronics off a dual battery setup, and a layout designed so everything you need is within reach when you're days from the nearest town. Every one of these stages had to work together. The engine demands a stronger drivetrain. The drivetrain demands a tougher chassis. The chassis demands better suspension. Pull one thread and the whole thing unravels. That's why a build like this is so rare and so impressive when it's done right. So here's the real question. Does it actually work? All that fabrication, all that money, all that risk. The trail is the only place to find out. Picture this thing rolling up to a steep, rocky climb that would have a normal overlander crawling in its lowest gear, praying for traction. The Godzilla doesn't crawl. It surges. That massive torque means it walks up obstacles at idle. No drama, no wheel spin, just power delivered exactly where it's needed. On the open desert, where most loaded overlanders are wheezing along, this one pulls hard, eating up miles of washboard and sand like they're nothing. The heavy-duty suspension keeps it composed at speed, soaking up the hits while carrying a full load of gear. And when the trail gets truly nasty, deep ruts, loose climbs, the kind of terrain that ends trips, the combination of huge power, heavy-duty axles, and serious recovery gear means this rig simply doesn't get stuck the way a normal build would. And if it ever does, that front winch pulls it right back out. This is the moment all the engineering pays off. A vehicle that can carry everything you need to live off-grid for a week, cross terrain that stops other builds cold, and do it with the soundtrack of a 7.3-liter V8 echoing off the canyon walls. It's excessive, it's absurd, and it is absolutely glorious. So let's step back and take in what this build really is. Someone took the biggest gas V8 Ford makes, the Godzilla, married it to a heavy-duty chassis built to wander the backcountry. It took custom fabrication, a bulletproof drivetrain, rebuilt suspension, and a full overland setup to pull it off. The result is a machine that breaks every rule of what an overlander is supposed to be. It's not light, it's not efficient, but it is unstoppable, endlessly capable, and unlike anything else on the trail. This is what happens when you stop asking what's practical and start asking what's possible. Is it the ultimate overlander, or just the most over-the-top one ever built? Maybe there's no difference, and maybe that's the whole point. So what do you think? Is this Godzilla-powered beast the ultimate overlander, or did they take it too far? Drop your take in the comments. And if you love builds this wild, subscribe. We put out epic builds every week, and you won't want to miss what's next. See you on the next trail.